Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. On today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be tackling question 3 from the grade 12 mathematical literacy paper 2 that was written in November 2022, right? We are going to be tackling question 3.1, we're going to be tackling question 3.2, and we're also going to be tackling question 3.3 in this video tutorial. In question 3.1, guys, right, we're going to be basically dealing with our measurement questions. We're going to be calculating perimeter, right? Okay, we're going to be calculating the perimeter of the front of the press stick sleeves, right? So we're going to be calculating the perimeter of this press stick sleeve. We're going to be also calculating the volume, and we're also going to be doing conversions, and we're also going to be calculating density in the last question. Okay, so in this question we're going to be calculating perimeter. We're going to be doing conversions where we're going to be converting millimeters to centimeters. We're going to be calculating volume, and we're also going to be calculating density. In the next question, guys, we're going to be tackling question 3.2, and in question 3.3, guys, we're going to be doing our cooking conversions, right? Where we're going to be converting cups to a cup, right, to milliliters, and further on converting that to liters. We're going to be converting our degrees Fahrenheit into degrees Celsius, right? So that is what we're doing. So I'm sure that you guys can see that in question 3, right, all that we are being tested here is our understanding of all the topics that we've learned under measurements: conversions, calculating perimeter, calculating volume, calculating density, converting from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, right? And also converting your lengths, right? Your units of measurements for length, units of measurements for volume. Okay, so before you get started with today's video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also, please don't forget to give this video tutorial a huge thumbs up, because that really helps the channel grow, and it helps the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks. Also, guys, if you want to support the channel, please also consider being a part of the Maths Gang, right? That is also another way that you can support the channel so that we can improve the overall quality of the channel, and just make this channel a great experience for all the learners in South Africa. All right, so without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. All right, so let's have a look at question 3.1. And like I mentioned, question 3.1 is measurements, right? We're going to be calculating perimeter, we're going to be calculating volume, we're going to be converting from millimeters to centimeters. We're also going to be calculating density. Okay, let's have a look. It says every learner in a technology class is expected to have press stick, right? That is our press stick, and Pritt. So that is our Pritt, okay? Or glue stick. The press stick is packed in a rectangular shaped sleeve, and the Pritt in a cylindrical container. Okay, so we can see that the press stick is packed in a rectangular shaped sleeve, right? While we have that the glue is in a cylindrical container. We are told that the dimensions of the rectangular face of the Pritt of the press stick sleeve and the cylindrical Pritt container are given below. Okay, so we're given the front dimensions of our press stick sleeve. Okay, that is our width, and the width is 89 millimeters, and that is our length. Okay, the length is obviously the longest side, right? And it is 239 millimeters. Okay, we're also given the dimensions of our cylindrical Pritt container. Okay, we're given the diameter there, the top, right? The diameter of our lid, it's 30 millimeters. So the diameter of the lid of our Pritt is 30 millimeters, right? Then we're also given the height of our Pritt, which is 114 millimeters. We're also given the height from there to there, right? The height of our cap, as 2.5 centimeters. Okay, we're also given then the height there from there to there of 7 centimeters, and we're given the height of the opening case, or the opening or closing part of our pret. Everyone knows what this is, guys, right? And that's the part that you basically turn if you want, when you want your pret to basically pop out. Okay, and we have to basically determine what that height is, because it is not given. Okay, we are told that the L stands for the length, W stands for the width, the D stands for diameter, okay, and the H is for the height. So I've explained what is going on there. Okay, it says use the information above to answer the questions that follow. Question 3.1.1 says calculate the perimeter of the front of the press stick sleeve. Okay, so we are given the front dimensions of the press stick sleeve, and they just want us to basically calculate the perimeter. Okay, so just to explain what perimeter is, guys, when we're calculating perimeter, right? If you had to basically put a string around the edges of this press stick sleeve, right? And you had to then take that string and put it alongside your ruler, right? So let's say, for example, you take your string and you now, okay, put it around there, and you put it around there, you put it around there, you put it around there, right? Then you cut your string. Okay, then you now take this string and you now measure it against your ruler, right, to basically get what the length of the string is. That is basically what we're doing when you're calculating the perimeter. When we're calculating perimeter, guys, we just want the length around the boundary of our shape, around the edges of our shape, right? That is what we're doing when we're calculating perimeter. But the nice part is, yeah, we are given what the formula is that we can use to calculate the perimeter of the front of this press stick sleeve. Okay, so you don't really have to worry about now what should you do, because we're given what the area we're given the formula actually that we're supposed to use, right? And that formula is telling us that it's 2 times the length plus the width. Okay, how did they get to that formula, right? They just added there. Okay, the length from there to there, right, plus the length from there to there, plus the length from there to there, and we already know that the length from there to there is 89 millimeters, right? Plus the length from there to there, which is 239 millimeters. So we see that you have two 239 millimeters, and you've got two 89 millimeters. Okay, so that is how they got to that you've got 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Okay, you can just also use the formula if you don't understand that concept, but you should understand that concept at this point, because you learned that in grade 9, how to calculate perimeter, how to calculate area, and so on and so forth. So you should be able to understand where this formula comes from. Okay, so let's just calculate now the perimeter of the front of the press stick sleeve, right? And because our units are the same, we've got millimeters and millimeters, we don't have to really worry much about converting those units. We can just keep them as millimeters, okay, because they haven't specified if we should calculate the perimeter in millimeters or centimeters, so we can just keep it as millimeters and just use the formula that is given to us here. Okay, so the perimeter is equal to 2 multiplied by the length plus the width. Okay, then we're just going to substitute the values that are given to us here. So it's going to be 2 multiplied by, okay, what is our length here? We're given that the length is equal to 239 millimeters, plus what is our width? Okay, we're given our width as 89 millimeters, right? So if you punch that into your calculator, 2 times 239 plus 89, okay, you can even just write it as 2 times the 239 plus 89 is equal to 328, okay? Then the bracket just basically means we need to multiply. So 2 times 328 will give you 656 millimeters. Okay, so that is basically the perimeter of the front of our press stick sleeve. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Question 3.1.2 says, calculate in centimeters the height of the opening or closing part of the pret container. Okay, so here they want us to basically calculate the height, this unknown height here. Okay, that unknown height, what is it? Okay, so for us to be able to basically calculate that unknown height, what do we need to do, right? We already know what the total height is from there to there, right? And that total height is 114 millimeters, okay? Then we're given the height from there to there, the height of our cap, as 2.5 centimeters. Okay, so we already have a problem here. Our units are not the same. So we need to basically now, before we can do anything, right, we need to ensure that now we need to convert these units in millimeters, right, to centimeters. Okay, so how do you go about doing that? How do you even get what the opening or closing part is equal to? All right, so that means that in total, if we know what the total length is from there to there, right, and you know what the length is from there to there, and the length is from there to there, and you just need to determine what the length is there, right, that basically means that we just need to add up these lengths, meaning that if you add 2.5 centimeters plus 7 centimeters plus the x, I'm going to use the x to basically indicate our unknown, what we want, or the opening or closing part of our Pret container, right? When you add up all these values, you need to get to 114 millimeters. Okay, so I'm just gonna set up the equation like that, but don't panic. Okay, I'm gonna take it step by step so that you guys see what's happening. Okay, so we know that already we're given what the total height, right, is, and the total height is equal to all these individual heights, right, that we have here. The height of the cap, the height from the cap to the top part of our opening or closing part, and then plus the height of our opening part, right? So it's going to be 2.5 centimeters plus 7 centimeters plus the x that we want, okay? And we're just going to substitute. We already know what the total height is, right? The total height is 114 millimeters, okay? So already here, guys, you should see that we've got a problem, okay? The total height is in millimeters, and we want our heights to be in centimeters, as the question is asking us to do, right? So that means that in this case, before we can even just solve this question for x, we first need to convert those millimeters to centimeters, okay? So how are we going to convert from millimeters to centimeters, okay? So I'm just going to do the explanation here on this side, okay? Okay, so if you've been watching all my video tutorials, you already know what I'm about to do right now, right? So you can basically use this to help you convert, right? Kilometers, okay? When you want to convert your lengths, okay? Or when you're doing your length conversions, all right? So if you want to move from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, guys, you multiply, right? So you're just gonna multiply by 1,000, right? If you're converting from kilometers to meters, you multiply by 100 when you convert from meters to centi, right? Think of a century, and a century is 100, okay? So that'll help you remember that you need to multiply by 100, and then millimeters, you're gonna multiply it by 10, right? And here, if you're doing the reverse, when you want to basically move from your smaller unit to a bigger unit, you need to basically do the reverse operation of what you did there at the top. So you're going to divide by 10, right? So if you have, you're going to divide by 100, okay? 100, right? And then here, you are going to divide by 1,000, okay? So that's what we're going to do. And in this case, what we're trying to do is that we're trying to basically convert what? Our millimeters. So we are here, right? And we're trying to convert millimeters to centimeters. So we're going to go from millimeters to centimeters. And if you want to go from millimeters to centimeters, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to divide by 10. Okay, so if you're going from millimeters to centimeters, you need to divide by 10, right? So what do we need to do here, right? To convert that 114 millimeters, just going to take that 114 millimeters, okay, 114 millimeters, and you're going to divide it by 10, okay? When you divide it by 10, you will now have your units in centimeters, okay? So that will give you 1.4 centimeters, okay? So now that we already have our units in centimeters, now we can go back to this equation and punch everything in, okay? So now we're just going to then have 11.4 centimeters is equal to 2.5 centimeters plus 7 centimeters plus x, right? Then here we're just going to solve for x, right? By collecting your like terms on the right hand side. So 2.5 plus 7, that basically gives you 9.5. Okay, so it's 9.5 plus x is equal to 11.4 centimeters, right? And then for us to basically isolate our x, we need to basically do the reverse operation of addition. We've got positive 9.5. We want to remove this 9.5. So to remove it, you need to subtract it. And if you subtract it on this side, you need to subtract it on the other side, right? So therefore, our answer is going to be x, right, is equal to 11.4 centimeters minus 9.5. So 11.4 minus 9.5 will give you 1.9 centimeters. Okay, so the height of our closing part of our Pret is just equal to 1.9 centimeters. Okay, so that height there is equal to 1.9 centimeters. All right, cool stuff. Let's have a look at the next question. Question 3.1.3 says the actual height of the glue in the Pret container is 8.5 centimeters, right? So we are told that the height of the glue inside, we're not just talking about the container anymore, right? But we're talking about the glue in the Pret container. And we're told that that height is 8.5 centimeters, right? And we're also told that the volume of the glue, guys, remember when we're talking about volume tells us about how much something can hold, right? Okay, so this Pret container, right, can hold a volume of glue, okay, that is 52.346 centimeters cubed. Okay, this is rounded off to 3 decimal places, right? So with the first question, it says that show how this volume of glue was calculated if the diameter of the glue, right, is 28 millimeters. Okay, so yeah, guys, you mustn't be confused, right? This diameter that is given to us here is just the diameter of our lid. Okay, but this 28 millimeters is the diameter of our glue, okay, inside the container, right? And now we want to basically calculate volume, right? When we're calculating volume, we're calculating the volume of the glue, okay, and not the container. Okay, so we need to use all the quantities, all the values that are given to us, okay, that relates to the glue and not the container. Okay, so here, right, how do we show that the volume of the glue is 52.346 centimeters cubed? We're going to start off with the formula that is given to us. Still very nice and easy. They give you guys what the formula is that you guys are supposed to use to calculate the volume of the glue, right? So we're going to just take that formula, write it down, and take it from there. Okay, and we are told that, right, the volume is equal to 3.142, so that is pi, that has been rounded off, right, multiplied by your radius, okay, squared, multiplied by the height. Okay, then let's look at the information that is given to us. We're already given what the height of the glue in the Pret is, and the height is equal to 8.5 centimeters. So we already know what the height is, right, of the glue is 8.5 centimeters. Okay, what else do we need? We need height, we need radius. Okay, however, what have they given us here? They just gave us what the diameter of the glue is, right? So when we're talking about diameter, guys, right, I'm just going to draw the circle here so that you guys see what I'm talking about. We are talking about the distance, right, from the circumference of the circle going through the center of the circle to the circumference of the circle, right? So when they give us that diameter as 28 millimeters, right? When they gave us the diameter of 28 millimeters, they're basically saying that the distance from there to there is equal to 28 millimeters. All right, so that is the diameter. Okay, however, we do not want the diameter, guys. We want the radius, right? So the distance from the circumference to the center of the circle, right? And how do we get the radius of the circle, right? The radius of the circle is just simply the diameter, right, divided by 2. Okay, this length divided by 2, because our center of the circle is in the middle, right? So that is why we basically divide that by 2. Okay, so to get the radius, okay, the radius is just equal to the diameter, your diameter, okay, value divided by 2. Okay, and then let's just do that. Okay, so if you take this 28 millimeters and you divide that by 2, you'll get that the radius, right, is equal to 14 millimeters, right? So that is the radius of the glue. Okay, so the distance from there to there is 14 millimeters, right? And the distance from there to there is 14 millimeters. Okay, it's just 14 millimeters. That is what we've calculated. We've calculated the radius. Okay, so now what do we notice, right? For us to basically substitute everything into the our formula, right? The radius needs to be in centimeters. Okay, why are we saying that it needs to be in centimeters? Because we are trying to basically prove that the volume, right, of the glue is 52.36. Okay, 52.364 centimeters cubed, right? So that means that our units need to be in centimeters and not in centimeters and not in millimeters. Okay, so that means that we need to convert this radius of 14 millimeters to centimeters. How do we do that, guys? I'm not going to rewrite this, but I'm just going to show you based on what I've already explained in the previous question, right? When we want to move from millimeters, right, to centimeters, what do we need to do? We are currently here. We want to move from the smaller unit to this bigger unit. We just need to divide by 10. Okay, so in that case, we are just going to take that 14 millimeters, right? Okay, 14 millimeters, and we are going to divide that by 10 to get the radius in centimeters. Okay, and if you punch that into your calculator, you'll get that the radius in centimeters is 1.5 centimeters, right? So now we already know what the radius is. Okay, so this is our radius in centimeters. Now we're more than ready to substitute everything into this given formula, right? Or the formula that was given to us, right? To calculate or prove that the volume is in fact 52.34572. Okay, let's just substitute everything into the formula now. So therefore, our volume is equal to 3.142 multiplied by, what is our radius? It's 1.4 centimeters. You need to square that. Okay, so meaning that also these centimeters that you'll have here, they'll be squared. Okay, multiplied by, what is the height of our glue? It is 8.5 centimeters. And that's multiplied by 8.5 centimeters. I'm putting the units there on purpose to show you that when you're now multiplying these units, okay, or your centimeters, okay, the units that we're going to have for volume is going to be the units cubed, okay, because you've got centimeters squared times centimeters, meaning that the final unit that you should have here is centimeters cubed. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, right, you'll get that now the volume of okay, let me just show you. So it's 1.4 all squared is actually equal to, okay, so it's like saying 3.142 multiplied by, okay, 1.4 centimeters all squared is equal to 1.96 centimeters squared multiplied by 8.5 centimeters, right? If you punch that into your calculator, you will then see that the volume of the glue, right, in our glue, right, is equal to 52.34572 centimeters cubed, because we got centimeters squared multiplied by centimeters, therefore it's centimeters cubed, right? That is approximately equal to, if you round it off to 3 decimal places, because what we're trying to prove, right, is in 3 decimal places. Do you see that? It's 346, right? So we need to round off to 3 decimal places. And if we round off to 3 decimal places, we look at the fourth digit after the comma. In this case, that fourth digit is a 7. That 7 tells us that we need to change that 5 into a 6. So that is 52.346 centimeters cubed. So we've basically shown how they got the volume of the glue as 52.346 centimeters cubed. All right, and we are done with question 3.1, guys. Right, let us have a look at the one, guys. Right, so let us have a look at the next question. The next question, guys, we're going to be having a look at question 3.2. In question 3.2, guys, it's still measurements, right? We are still doing our conversions, right? Especially it's still measurements, and in this case we are going to be doing conversions. We're going to be converting gallons to liters. We're going to be converting a flash right, to gallons, right? So please make sure that you pay attention. Okay, so let's have a look. It says water is a scarce resource in South Africa. The graph below shows how the volume of water in a toilet cistern, right? Cistern has been reduced over the years. The picture next to the graph shows a toilet pan, right? With a toilet cistern, right? So that is our toilet cistern that is given to us there, right? So let's have a look at what is going on here. We are given a bar graph, right? Which basically represents the toilet flush volume over the years. Okay, so on the y-axis, what we have is the gallons per flush. So the number of water, or the amount of water that you use when you basically flush here, right? We see that before 1982, right? People in South Africa would use 7 gallons per flash, right? In 1982, people would use 5 gallons per flash, right? In 1993, people would use 3.5 gallons per flash, right? And in 1996, going onwards, right, people use 1.6 gallons per flash. What does this mean? How can I basically interpret this graph and basically turn it into an equation that I can further on use to help me now convert probably maybe a flash right, to gallons? Okay, so what does this mean? If they say gallons per flash, right, let's just use this first bar to help us explain this concept. Okay, so they told us that in before 1982, right, people would use seven gallons, right, per flash. Okay, right? So what does this mean? How can I change this into an equation? It's just 7 gallons, right, is equal to 1 flush. So when a person just flushes once, right, they would use 7 gallons of water, right? Let's have a look at the second graph. What does that mean? It means that for 5 gallons, okay, 5 gallons were used, right, for 1 flush. Okay, let's have a look at the third one, right? 3.5 gallons of water, right? Gallons is basically telling us the amount of water that was used, right, is equal to 1 flush. So people in 1993 would use 3.5 gallons just for 1 flush. 3.5 gallons of water just for 1 flush, right? And in 1996, going onwards, right, people used 1.6 gallons of water just for 1 flush. Okay, so that is what that means there. And this is going to come in very handy when we are going to be answering our questions. Okay, we are also told to note here that 1 gallon is equal to 3.785 liters. That is also going to come in handy when we have to now convert our gallons to liters, because we don't use gallons in South Africa. Okay, in South Africa we use the metric system when you're doing our conversions, and gallons is not what we use. Okay, so we're talking in South Africa, we talk about liters, we talk about kilometers, we talk about meters, right? We don't talk about inches, feet, okay, gallons, and stuff like that. Okay, so let's have a look. It says use the information above to answer the questions that follow. Question 3.2.1 says calculate in liters the volume of water used during February 2022 by a family of 5 if each person flushed the toilet an average 4 times a day during the month. Okay, so now someone might be like, okay, but then we're not given any information about February here. So how am I supposed to know, right? How much each person flushed if you're not given that information? But remember, guys, right? We are told here that from 1996 onwards, right? People used 1.6 gallons just for one flush. Okay, so that tells us that then in 1997, 1998, going all the way up until 2022, because this paper was written in 2022, people would use 1.6 liters, 1.6 gallons of water just for one flush. Okay, so that is where we're going to focus our attention on, right? This bar graph, okay, this bar is what we are going to use to help us now answer this question, okay? Because it tells us that moving onwards from 1996 onwards, people used 1.6 gallons of water just for one flush. So how can we go about answering this question? Okay, we are told that, okay, in this family of 5, so it's a family that has 5 people, right? And each person, right, flushes the toilet an average 4 times a day. So we've got 5 people, and each of these people flush the toilet 4 times. So 5 times 4, right, basically will tell us how many times this family flushes the toilet in one day. Okay, so this basically tells us how many times they flush in one day. However, we want to determine how many times they basically flush during the month. Okay, so we now need to now take whatever value we'll get here, and we're gonna multiply by the number of days that we would have in February 2022. Okay, so in this case, because this paper was written in 2022, the learners of 2022 knew what was the last day of the month for February. Okay, the last day of the month for February was the 28th. Okay, you guys do know or remember that February is those months that sometimes it has 28 days, sometimes it has 29 days. Okay, if it's a leap year, it has 29 days, and if not, it's just 28 days, right? But in 2022 it just had 28 days. Okay, so that means that whatever we have here, we will still need to now multiply it by 28 to basically get how many flushes, right, these people did in 1 month. Okay, total number of flushes that this family did in 1 month. Okay, so that is basically what we're gonna do, right? That is our first step, just calculating how many times did this family flush the toilet in 1 month. Okay, so let's just quickly do that. This is question 3.2.1. Okay, so I explained that we'll just take the 5, there's 5 people in the family, multiply by 4 each day. Everyone flushes 4 times a day, and we want to multiply it by 28 because we want to determine how many times does this family now flush in a month. Okay, so if you take 5 times 4 times 28, you will find that, okay, this family flushes the toilet 560 times a month. So this is 560 flushes. All right, and what is the question asking us? It is asking us to calculate in liters the volume of water used during February 2022. 22. Okay, so what is going to be our starting point in this case? Okay, for us to now, we already know how many times that they flash, right? And we already know that, okay, from 1996 moving onwards, right, the people used 1.6 gallons of water just for one flash. So we're going to use that now to now convert these flashes, right, into gallons. Okay, so we're going to say 1.6, right? We already know that, okay, 1.6 gallons is equal to one flash, right? From 1996 moving onwards. And we're going to use this now to convert now these flashes that this family does, right, to the liters of water, right, that they've basically, or the gallons of water that they've basically used. That is our first step. Okay, remember guys, my method that I always emphasize on the channel, right? If we already have 560 flashes, right? That is what we already have. 560. Write it down as that, guys. It might look like it's a bit stupid, right? But it's not, because it'll help you see what is actually going on. Okay. And I found that also when I was in high school with concepts like this, right? I would struggle because and most times teachers didn't make me look at it this way. Okay, so I think if you guys look at it this way, you'd see what is actually going on and you'll never go wrong. Okay, so we've got 560 flashes and you want to convert these flashes into the amount of water that was used. Okay, therefore you're going to multiply by what you want. You want to determine how much water then was used by this family in terms of gallons, right? So you're going to times it by 1.6 gallons, because that is what you want. You multiply by what you want and you divide it by what you have. We already have our units in flashes, right? So you're just going to divide it by the flash, okay? And then what happens now? What are you guys seeing, right? Because I've written it as a fraction, you guys see that, okay, the flashes, right? They cancel. If you take then 560 and you multiply that by 1.6 divided by 1, or you can just even say 1.6, okay, you will get that, oh, this family then uses 896 gallons of water per month, right? Just by flushing, okay? But remember, the question wants us to calculate in liters the volume of water that was used by this family, right? So now we also have this additional information that I said that you guys need to take note of, that 1 gallon is actually equal to 3.785 liters, right? So now that we already have our units, we've moved our units from flashes to gallons, right? Okay, now we can now convert those gallons into liters by using this equation or formula that is given to us. All right. So again, guys, we are told that 1 gallon is equal to 3.785 liters. Okay. So we're going to use this now to help us convert these 896 gallons to liters. Okay. So we're going to take that 896 gallons. We want to have our units in liters. So you're going to multiply by what we want, which is 3.785 liters. And you're going to divide it by what you have, which is 1 gallon. Okay. So what do you notice here, right? You'll see that your gallons, right, units cancel, and you'll just be left in your units in what? Liters, right? So whatever answer that you have after punching these values into your calculator will be our units in liters. Okay, so if you take 896 multiplied by 3.785 divided by 1, or you can just say 896 multiplied by 3.785, if you punch it into your calculator, you'll just get that this family uses 3,391.36 liters of water from just flashing. Okay, this is a lot, and this is a lot. Okay, so that is basically how you are supposed to tackle this question. And we are done. Let's have a look at question 3.2.2. State one way in which a person can save water in this context. Okay, because we already saw that, I mean, this family is using way too much water from just flushing. Okay, what is a way that now this family can now save water? Okay, and I thought maybe they need to now install a newer version or newer model of the cistern, okay? Because you'll find that it's not really, it's taking too much water, okay? Or you'll find that maybe there's a leak, okay, that they need to repair. So any of those reasons that you decide to give will be accepted. I'm just going to say maybe they need to install a new model of the cistern, okay? Because this is you'll find that maybe the system that they have is still an old one that uses too much water, right? And doesn't save water. So they could just install a newer model, or maybe there's a leak that they need to basically fix. Okay, so any of those reasons will be accepted. So this is question 3.2.2. Okay, so any one of these answers that you give will just earn you your 2 marks. Okay, so you can give that answer or that answer. Okay, either one of those will be fine. And that is it, guys, for question 3.2. Let us have a look at question 3.3. Okay, so it's question 3.3, guys. I did mention that we're going to basically be doing our cooking conversions here, right? Where we're going to be it's cooking, right? So we're going to be converting degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius. We're probably going to be calculating preparation time, right? We're going to be converting the cups, right, into milliliters, and then further on converting the milliliters to liters. Okay, so please make sure that you pay attention. And this is basically the last question, right? And I'll upload the next question, which is question 4, the next. Okay, so let's have a look at the next question. It says Oma, right? It had to be an Oma, okay? Intends baking 2 milk tarts for her friends who will be arriving at 17:30. So the friends will be arriving at 5:30 in the afternoon. Guys, we already discussed this and we are having a look at our clocks, right? She uses the ingredients and information below. She can only bake 1 milk tart at a time. So she can only put 1 milk tart at a time um in the oven. Okay, while the first milk tart is in the oven, she prepares the second milk tart in order to put it in the oven the moment the first one is taken out. Right, so we're given the ingredients and information for 1 milk tart, right? We're given the preparation time, time that it takes for it to prepare the milk tart, right, with the dough and whatnot, right? And we are given now the cooking time, and we're also given the temperature now that she needs to sit on the oven to bake her milk tart, right? Then we're also given these ingredients here that serve 8 people: 3 tablespoons of butter melted, 1 cup of white sugar, 3 egg yolks, 1 cup of cake flour, a quarter of teaspoon salt, 1 teaspoon vanilla essence, and 4 quarters cups of milk. Okay, so I'm going to show you quickly how we can convert this mixed fraction into an improper fraction. This is things that you guys have been doing in grade 7. Hopefully you guys still remember grade 7, grade 8, grade 9. You should be able to convert this mixed fraction into an improper fraction. But just a hack, right? If you've got 4 1/4, right? Okay, we've got 4 1/4. Okay, so to convert this, you're going to take that 4 and you're going to go down. So 4 times 4, okay, down for denominator, 4 times 4, and then you go up, then you plus that 1, okay, which is going to give you 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1 is 17 over the 4, right? So this basically means that you will need 17, let me write it in red. This basically means you'll need 17 over 4 cups of milk. Okay, so I thought it was very important for me to just dive into that one before we even have a look at the questions, so that you guys have an idea of what is going on there and you don't panic. Okay, use the information above to answer the questions that follow. Question 3.3.1. Oma would like the second milk tart to be taken out of the oven 15 minutes before her friends arrive. Okay, determine the time Oma must place the first milk tart in the oven. Okay, so here we basically told that Oma would like now the second milk tart to be taken out of the oven 15 minutes before her friends arrive, right? So it means that she wants to basically make two milk tarts, okay? And the last milk tart needs to now be taken out of the oven 15 minutes before her friends arrive. And we are told that the friends will be arriving at 17:30. Okay, so now what time must she place the first milk tart in the oven? Okay, what do we need to do? So yeah, now we need to basically work backwards, right? And we're going to be focusing on, okay, obviously we want to take that 17:30. Okay, this is question 3.3.1, right? We're going to take the 17:30, right? And we want to minus 15 minutes, okay? Because we want to work backwards and determine, okay, if she wants to basically be done, okay, 15 minutes before, or if she wants to basically take out the milk tart or the final milk tart 15 minutes before her friends arrive, right? What time then must she take that milk tart out, right? So it will be that 17:30 minus 15 minutes. Then now we need to now determine how long does it take for these milk tarts to be in the oven, right? And we need to subtract those times. For the second milk tart, it will be 40 minutes. So we subtract that. For the first milk tart, it will be 40 minutes. We subtract that. We are not going to add the preparation time because it specifically says that we need to determine the time Oma must place the milk tarts in the oven. So we're just focusing on our cooking time, the time that the milk tart is in the oven. So that is why we're not going to be focusing on the preparation time, but just only on the cooking time. Okay, so that means that we're going to take that 17:30, we're going to minus 15 minutes, we're going to minus 40 minutes for the second milk tart, we're going to minus 40 minutes for the first milk tart, right? To then determine what time then she needs to start putting that first milk tart in the oven. Okay, so how can we go about doing this? Okay, this is going to be very hard for you to just think of it from the top of your head how you can subtract this. So I'm going to show you how you can just do it in a way that is practical and makes sense. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is that I'm just going to first off start off by adding this 40 plus 40 minutes, right? So if you take 40 minutes plus 40 minutes, right, that is going to give you 80 minutes. Okay, guys, and if you know that 60 minutes is just equal to an hour, so that basically tells us this is approximately 1 hour, okay, because it's 60, right? 60, 70, 80, and you've got 20 minutes. Okay, so that means that this whole part here, I'm going to be subtracting 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, so if I take now the 17:30 and I subtract 1 hour, right, I'll be at 16:30 if I subtract 1 hour. Okay, so if I minus 1 hour, that will leave me at 16:30. Okay, and if I'm at 16:30 and I subtract the 20 minutes, okay, that will leave me at 16:10. Okay, right? So now we've basically dealt with this 1 hour and 20 minutes. Now we need to now deal with this 15 minutes. We need to subtract this 15 minutes from this 16:10. Okay, so now we're at 16:10. Okay, so with that 16:10, we can just start off by just subtracting the 10 minutes. So if you minus 10 minutes, right, that'll put you at 16:00. Okay, and if you're at 16:00, we just subtracted 10 minutes. We still need to subtract an additional 5 minutes, right? So if you minus now the 5 minutes, okay, that will leave you at 15:55. Okay, so that is the time that Oma must place the first milk tart in the oven. Okay, so I'm gonna just write this in a more in a neater way so that you guys can follow. This is just showing you how you can think of it practically. If you struggle to just see how you now need to get to your answer. Okay, well, like I mentioned, you're just gonna take the 40 minutes and you're gonna add them 40 plus 40, right? So if you take that 40 minutes plus 40 minutes, that basically means that you want to minus 80 minutes. Okay, and if you are minusing 80 minutes, that basically means that you're minusing 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, then you also want to subtract 15 minutes. So to that 20 minutes, right, we also know that, okay, we also want to subtract 15 minutes to that, right? So that means that in total I'm subtracting 1 hour and 35 minutes from this 1730. Okay, so if I'm at 1730, right, and I subtract the first hour, where does that put me, right? First minus 1 hour, that basically puts me at 1630. Okay, and if I'm at 1630 and I minus 30 minutes, because here I've got 30 minutes plus 5 minutes, right? So if I minus 30 minutes, that will put me at 1600, right? And if I'm at 1600, I still have that 5 minutes that I need to subtract, okay? Then that will just put me at 1555. Okay, so that is basically how we can get to our answer. So 1730 minus 15 minutes minus 40 minutes minus 40 minutes is just equal to 1555. Okay, that is the time that Oma must place the first milk tart in the oven. Okay, that is it. Let's have a look at question 3.2.2. Right? Question 3.2.2 says convert the baking temperature to degrees Celsius rounded to the nearest 10 degrees. So it's not the nearest degree, but the nearest 10 degrees. Okay, so and we're given a formula that we are supposed to use. So I'm just going to take this formula, right, and write it down. We already know that we want to convert these degrees Fahrenheit, 325 degrees Fahrenheit, into degrees Celsius. Okay, so I'm going to just write the formula down quickly. Okay, so to convert from degrees Fahrenheit to degrees Celsius, right, it's going to be the degrees Fahrenheit minus 32 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, minus 32 degrees, sorry, okay, and multiplied by 5/9. Okay, then we're just going to substitute everything into this equation. We already know what the degrees Fahrenheit is, right? So it's 325 degrees Fahrenheit, okay, plus or minus 32, okay, minus 32 degrees Fahrenheit, right, multiplied by 5/9. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, you'll get a value like 162.77345678 degrees Celsius. Okay, so that is basically the temperature, all right, converted into degrees Celsius, right? But then the question is asking us now to basically round this off to the nearest 10 degrees. Okay, if they said we had to round it off to the nearest degree, we just now look at this 7, and this 7 will just tell us that it's supposed to be 163 degrees. Okay, but if we have to round it off to the nearest 10 degrees, right, we're going to be basically focusing our attention on this 2, okay, the place value, or the digits that is in our place value of our ones, okay, because that is going to tell us whether we need to round up or we need to keep round down, okay, because you want it to be to the nearest 10 degrees, okay, right? So you don't want to have any numbers in between. It's either 170 or 160, okay? So in this case, right, to round it off to the nearest 10 degrees, this 2 basically tells us that now we're not supposed to change this 6. It's supposed to just stay as 162. But because we want to round it off to the nearest 10 degrees, that basically tells us that our final answer is just going to be, we don't round it, it won't just stay as 162, but you'll just round it down to 162 degrees Celsius. Okay, because this 2 tells us that we're not supposed to change anything, okay? But because we just want it to be to the nearest 10 degrees, right? Then you will just leave it as 160, not 162. You'll just leave it as 160. You round down, okay? So it's 160 degrees Celsius, okay? And that is basically your final answer. Okay, let's have a look at question 3.3.3, right? Determine how many liters of milk Oma needs to bake the 2 milk tarts. Okay, we already know how many liters or how many cups of milk she would need. Okay, because we are given that Oma needs 4 quarters, okay, 4 and 1/4 of cups of milk, and I showed you how we're supposed to convert that into an improper fraction, right? So I'm just going to do that there. Okay, we were given 4 and 1/4, right? So to convert this into an improper fraction, I mentioned that you multiply it by 4 and then you plus the 1. So 4 multiplied by 4 is 16 plus 1 is 17 over 4. So that means that you need 17 over 4 cups of milk. Okay? Okay. And those cups of milk, guys, remember, these ingredients are just ingredients for just one milk tart. Okay. So now you need to note that now we want to basically determine how many liters of milk that Oma will need to make 2 milk tarts. Okay, so that means that now, right, we can basically work with this and multiply by 2, or you can just continue doing your calculations, and then in the final calculation, whatever answer that you get, you still need to multiply by 2. So I'm going to first start off by just working with how many cups of milk we will just need for 1 milk tart. All right. Okay, and what's going to help us to determine how many liters of milk we'll need? Guys, we were given here the equation that we're supposed to use to help us convert. We're told that 1 cup is equal to 250 milliliters. So we're going to use that to help us now convert these cups of milk into milliliters. And once we've converted the cups to milliliters, then we will be able to convert the milliliters to liters. Okay, so let's just write that down. We are told that 1 cup is equal to 250 milliliters. Okay, so that's the equation that we're going to use to help us convert now these cups into milliliters. And once we've converted them to milliliters, it'll just make it simpler for us to now move and convert it into liters. All right, so we're going to take that 17 over 4 cups, right? So you can just also write it 17 over 4, right, is also equal to 17 divided by 4. That is just equal to 4.25 cups, right? So it just means that we need 4.25 cups of milk. I think it'll be better if we just work with it in this way so that you guys see what is actually going on, right? So I'm just going to use that. Okay, so we're going to take that 4.25 cups. I'm just going to write it cups, right? And then you multiply. We already know that now. We want our units to be in milliliters, okay? So you're going to multiply by what you want divided by what you have, right? So if you multiply by what you want, you're going to multiply by, we want the units in milliliters. So you're going to multiply by 250 milliliters. And you're going to divide by what you have. We've got a units in cups, right? So you're going to just divide by 1 cup. What do you see is going on here, guys? The cup and the cup cancel, and whatever answer you'll have, it'll be in units in milliliters. So if you take 4.25, you multiply by 250 divided by 1. If you take 4.25 and you multiply by just 250, you'll get that you need 1062.5 milliliters of milk, okay, to just make 1 milk tart. Okay, but remember, we want the units to be in liters. So how can we convert from liters to milliliters? Okay, so for us to move from a liter to a milliliter, right? Okay, we just know that to move from the bigger unit to a smaller unit, we're going to just multiply by 1,000. If you want to move from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, you just divide by 1,000. Okay, so in this case, if you want to just convert these milliliters to liters, that means that we're going to take that 1062.5 milliliters and we're going to divide that by what? 1,000, so that we will have our units in liters. Okay, so if you do that, guys, you'll see that you will get 1.0625 liters, right? So that is basically the how much milk you'll need to make 1 milk tart, but we want how many liters you'll need for 2 milk tarts. So then with this answer, you just need to multiply it by 2. If you multiply it by 2, that basically tells us that you will need 2.125 liters of milk to basically make 2 milk tarts. Okay, and that is it, guys, for this last video tutorial. Right, hope you guys enjoyed this one as well, where we basically converted our degrees Fahrenheit into degrees Celsius, where we also converted or changed our improper fraction to our mixed fraction into an improper fraction, then converted the cups to milliliters, and further on went on to convert the milliliters into liters. And also a very important thing here, just now rounding off to the nearest 10 degrees, right? That you're going to look at this 2. This 2 is going to tell us if you're supposed to round up or round down. And because this is supposed to now stay the same, right? Okay, this 6 is not supposed to change. That just means that we need to just round it down to 160 degrees Celsius. And also just think of this heck here when you have to now calculate time, when you're subtracting minutes from time. Okay, think of it this way so that you don't make mistakes, because it's going to be very hard. It's not something that you're just going to punch into your calculator here. You need to think of it practically like this. Okay, and guys, that is it for question number 3, guys. I hope that you are subscribed to the channel if you made it this far, right? And I'll see you guys on my next video tutorial, where I'm going to be tackling question 4, the whole of question 4 with you guys. So I'll see you guys on my next upload. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.